Welcome to the Skipqoo video tutorial series. In this episode, I'm going to take you through the process of customizing your online store design, making it something that really represents your brand. So to start with, we're going to go to the admin dashboard, admin.skipqoo.app. Log into your account and select your restaurant. Next, we'll head to the settings page. Press on the Settings button on the left navigation bar and we'll head to the Website tab. Now, the Website tab contains all the settings that can relate to your store design and certain other functionalities to do with the website itself. Now, all your design efforts should ideally be done inside our design mode. You can access this by pressing Open Design Mode. And now, over here, whatever changes you make to all your settings on the left will automatically be reflected on your actual store design. So this way you can make changes and get some feedback quickly as to whether things look nice. So, I highly recommend you do this on a PC or a device with the big screen, because you want to be able to see how your website looks across all different devices and not just restricted to the actual size of the device that you're using right now. If you're doing this on a PC, it's quite easy to just hit the tablet icon over here and you can see what it looks like in a tablet. And if you hit the mobile phone icon, you can see what it looks like on a mobile phone. Or you can just hit the desktop and then stretch all the way out. The very first thing that we want to do when it comes to designing of a store is picking a nice base theme to start with. On the left-hand side, we'll go to the Themes section. Right now, we offer two themes, the light theme and the dark theme. What you're seeing right now is the light theme, and it's probably something that's going to work for 90 to 95% of people. If you'd like, you can try the dark theme by simply pressing the button and pressing OK to proceed, and it's simply going to update that, and it's going to show me the dark theme. You can see what this looks like over here, and this might be suitable for some people, but most people probably want to start with the light theme, so we're going to go ahead and pick that to start with. The next section that we're going to take a look at is the colour section. Colour section controls most of the colours for the page, but there's really only one thing that you probably want to change, which is the primary colour. The primary colour is the colour of things such as the buttons on the page. Maybe different icons and any parts that really need to stand out, you want the primary colour to be the primary colour of your brand. So if your logo has a little blue in it, then you want to pick that blue colour so it really stands out and it represents what your brand is about. So we'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. If I change the colour and I set it to something, say, nice blue, and I press Save, it's going to update the page. And there we go. The buttons are blue, the icons have a blue background, and everything's going to stand out according to that colour. For this process, we're just going to pick the red colour that we started with, which is around there, and we will proceed with that now. You can take a look and read what the other colours do, their descriptions below. Every colour that explains exactly what it does, but for the most part, you want to leave them how they are and just change the primary colour. So, we're done changing the base colours of the store. The next thing we are going to take a look at is store fonts. So, I'll close the colour section and I'll open the font section. Now there's two fonts you can customise, the heading font and the normal font. The heading font is pretty much any big title that needs to stand out on the page, so this big title up here or any other real important parts, or your actual logo name and titles of the dishes, the titles of these headings over here. All that is controlled by their heading font, and everything else is controlled with the normal font. So you can take a look at all the different fonts available, heading to the link over here. Google Fonts, and that's going to open it up in a new tab. And Google provides a whole list of fonts that you can pick from with a huge range of styles. You don't want to go too crazy with this because you want it to be something that's easy to read and understand by the customer, but something that also represents your brand and gives you a bit of that style. So, for instance, say I wanted to pick a font like Merriweather, which is quite a nice font. I will just simply remember the name Merriweather, and I'm going to go back to the settings page and I'm going to change the heading font. I'll just click there and type in Merry, and you can see Merriweather has come up. I'll select that and press save, and then once I do that, you can see all these fonts changed up here. That font changes the titles, and all the dishes changed. These titles changed, so you can pick whatever font you like. But the main important thing is not to go too crazy with it. The base fonts that we provide are really good for most scenarios, which is just Lotto. So I'm going to pick Lotto, and I will proceed with that. The next thing that we're going to look at is the top bar section. The settings in the top bar section control everything. You see in this top navigation bar up here, so where your logo would be, where the book and order button is, and where all the different categories are located. So we'll go to the top navigation bar section over here, and we can see there's a couple of different options available. The first thing is the background colour and the text colour, and we can leave those how they are, unless you have an idea to change it to something that might look nicer for your particular brand. Now the next thing is the logo text, the logo image, and the logo link. So there's a couple of different ways you can go about doing this depending on what images you have available. If you don't have a logo image, you can simply just leave all this as it is, and it's automatically going to put your restaurant name up here. If you want it to change what it says up there, then say I said the best pizza store, see what that looks like. And once I save that, you see it says the best pizza store up here. So ideally you just want to leave this as your restaurant name. Now if you have an actual image for your logo, you can go ahead and upload that. So I will go upload a logo image and I'll choose a file from my computer. I'll select my logo. Now, you don't want something that's very high resolution because it's going to be quite small, so an image probably no bigger than this is perfect. We'll go ahead and add that, and then we can save the page. Now, the logo text and the logo image are displayed side by side. So you can see since I've left the logo text on here, it has my image, and it also has the text up here as well, which we really don't want. So what we're going to do is to actually hide this text. What you need to do is you need to delete all this, the logo text section, and just put a single space. Because if you leave it completely empty, it's by default going to show your restaurant name. So if I leave a single space in there and I press save, then we'll see that that disappears, and it looks a lot nicer now. What you can do is if you don't have an actual logo with your brand name on it, say you just had the icon, then you can upload the icon and in the logo text section, you can type out your name and it's going to show your icon and your name up there. The last thing you want to look at is the logo link. Say you have a website, your main front website that you want people to be able to get back to, and by default people normally go and press the logo, with the expectation that it takes them back to the home page. So what we can do is we can put a logo link in here. And if I'd save that, when the customer comes, if they click your logo over there, it's going to take them back to whatever website you linked down there. The next thing we're going to look at is the store header section. Store header is this big black background you see over here with the text on top, and this is how it comes by default. Now, this section is extremely important because it's the first thing your customer is going to see, and so it has to be something that gives a great impression and really stands out nicely. So to tweak the settings for the section, we'll close the top navigation bar and we'll open the header section. We can see there's quite a bit available here. I'll go through each of the settings that we have. and I'll give you a recommendation for how to create something that looks really nice with minimal effort. So the first thing is the background colour and the text colour. You can leave this as they are because we're going to put an image on top of it. So to upload an image for the background, you need to upload an image using the header background image setting over here. A couple of recommendations. The most important thing is this image has to be a high resolution and it has to be big because it's going to be stretched out across the whole top you see up here. And if it's not a high resolution image, it's not a high quality image, it's really going to show and it's not going to look very nice. So, if you'd like to get started easily, you can pick from our stock images over here. If you select stock images, you can see we have quite a few different images for quite a few different cuisines. If there's something you would like to see in here, a particular cuisine or type of image, you can let us know and we'll add it in for you to easily be able to pick it from here. If you'd like to find your own images, you can check out where all these came from. They came from a website called Unsplash. And now Unsplash is a free image directory. You can go here and you can take whatever images you want from here, and you can use them however you like. So say for instance, I searched Chinese food. Now you can see there's quite a few different things I can pick from. If I wanted to use this image, say, I'd simply click it, hit the download button, and then what I would do is that I would go to this tool to specifically resize the image and compress it, because the images that you get from here are super high quality, directly from the camera. So a tool I recommend is something called burme.net. If I visit the website, you can see it's just a simple website. You can upload your image, you can crop it and compress it correctly. You can control the cropping of the image using these settings over here, the width and the height. So for the header background image, you probably want these settings 1920 by 500. Upload the image, crop it, compress, come back to the settings, and then you can hit the upload button and upload that over here. Now, for the whole purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to pick one of the ready-made stock images. So I'll hit stock image and I'll pick this pizza over here. It looks quite nice and I'll go ahead and save that. Now, once I save this, we'll see the image stretched across the top nicely, and the store page already looks so much better at this point. But you're probably noticing one problem, which is that the text on top is really hard to read right now. So to solve this problem, we're going to use something called the header background image tint. What this is going to do is it's going to layer a colour on top of your image. And if you do this correctly, whatever text you have on top becomes lighter, more readable. So we'll give it a shot. Now we're going to go to the header background image tint setting. I'll select the colour picker and we're going to start by picking a black colour. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the transparency of the colour, which is controlled by this slider over here. Now, if there was no transparency, then your entire background image is just going to get covered by this colour. So we need to give it some transparency. So the image behind is still visible, so you can generally set this or start with say 0.5, which is a good starting point. You can see at halfway through this value down here changes to 0.5, which is from 0 to 1 the transparency value. So I'll leave it at 0.5 and I will save this. And we should be able to see straight away you can actually read the text properly and it all stands out nicely. But the background image still looks great as well. The next thing we'll do is we will add a nice title and subtitle, which is controlled by these settings over here. By default, the title, which is this, is just set to your restaurant name. But you really want it to be your restaurant tagline or your brand tagline, or so something that stands out to the customer. So for instance, I will type in the best pizza in Australia. And for the header subtitle, I'll type in homemade and fresh. Come in and try one. And I'll press save. And take a look at that. The page already looks complete. It looks so much nicer and makes a huge difference. Now, if you'd like, you could add your logo on top of the title as well, which you can do using the header logo image setting. And you can also add a link from that logo back to your website if you like. But for now, I'll just leave it how it is and we'll proceed from here. The next step we are going to look at are your menu settings, which controls everything to do with your menus down here. So to access that, we will hit Menus, which is just below the header settings, and there's 3 different options available. The default settings are what we recommend, but you can change it to suit what you like the most. The important and big change you can make is the dish style. So by default, it's list, which means that the image is on the left-hand side of the description and the title of the dish. But if you select card, then it's going to put the image on top, and I'll show you what that looks like. If I press save, and we'll take a look, and you can see it looks like this. But I really wouldn't recommend doing this, mainly because it makes your customer need to scroll a lot more. And if you're not consistent, like say this dish over here doesn't have an image, it ends up taking up so much space and it just looks really weird. So the list style is much more forgiving. And then the dish tag position. If you had dish tags by default, they're shown on the top edge along the dish there. But if you'd like, you can change it to inner bottom, and they'll be shown below your descriptions. And lastly, there's the hiding of dish descriptions. If you check this, then your description is no longer going to show in this box. But I'll show you what it looks like. It still shows on your actual dish pop-up. When the customer goes to select it, you can see I change back the list style and I hit the descriptions, so it no longer shows. It actually makes the menu look a lot cleaner, and if I still went to place an order now, select the dish, it's still showing over there. So it's not too big of a fault. It's up to you. So I will change that setting, and I will change that setting that I was showing in this example. And we'll proceed with this. And if you wanted to change the colours of the background or the colours of these boxes which the dishes lie on, you have to go back to the colour settings, which we scroll up and you hit colour settings. These settings are controlled by the background colour and the box and pop-up background. So the background colour is what you are seeing behind all the dishes, and the box and pop-up background is the colour of the actual boxes, which the dishes are sitting on. But the default settings, once again, suit most restaurants. And you can leave it how it is. So that concludes the entire store design. At this point, there's really not much else you can do between tweak the settings that we've already showed you. Hopefully you've created something great and you're proud to actually show it to your customers and start accepting orders online.